Hi, I'm Linda Miller. I'm the founder and CEO of Pure Rosy, and I'm joined here by my daughter, Abby. My teenage daughters both got their period, and all of a sudden I was handing them this bag of single-use disposable products that were all going into the landfill.
I have PCOS, which made getting my first period and the next periods after that very challenging. When my mom came to me with other like period underwears, I didn't want to wear those because they felt like diapers.
Thinking about the concept of period underwear, but how do we make them really stylish that people would actually want to wear them on and off their periods? And Abby was a person who would experience the other underwears and try them and see what she liked and didn't like about them. And it was really a great way for us to get Gen Z feedback on what people are really looking for in underwear. I won't say when I was born, but back then, no one told you about periods, and you didn't even know what to expect. And when I got my first period, I didn't even know who to turn to. I just turned to one of my friends who had gotten hers already. I remember even that experience as a young girl, feeling just awful that I had this pad between my legs and it just felt uncomfortable. I would bleed through my sheets at night.
Experience that I had was it was a summer camp. It was only like a 5-day long program, but I was wearing white shorts. It was like a music program. So everyone was dressed cute. I wanted to be dressed cute. I got these like new white jean shorts. And then I got home that day and I had bled all the way through them. And I was only out for a few hours and I was wearing like a super heavy tampon and it still like bled through my shorts. And I had no idea like how long it had been showing for, like if other people had seen it. And it was just like it was so sad to me because I want to like be cute and make a good impression.
Really cemented it for us is when you did your service trip to Tanzania, and how impactful that was for me when I received the call from you. And I asked you when you went on your service trip to talk to the women in Tanzania and the young girls, find out what they do when they get their period, how they manage that. And I was not expecting to get that phone call from you, hysterically crying basically, and telling me the story about period poverty and what these young girls do to go to school and how that impacts their education.
The way that had come up of me hearing about the period experience in Tanzania was meeting a woman named Maggie, and she was leading us on like a little camping adventure to meet a very isolated tribe that was far out from where we had been before. And she gathered up the girls. There weren't as many girls in the group, but she gathered us up and she was like, girls, if any of you are on your period, don't worry. She had like a really thick Swahili accent, but she was like, if any of you are on your period, don't worry. Just let me know. We'll handle it. I know, she says, when you're out in the bush, like when you're out camping, I know it can be hard, but don't worry. I got you. And we were like, oh, wow, that's so sweet and supportive of her. And then she showed us that she had scars all over her arms and she started crying before she could even tell us the rest of that story. But she was crying and she showed us the scars and she said, this is what happens in Tanzania when girls get their period. And I don't want any of you to feel ashamed like I was. And she told us that when she was in school, she knew the answer to a question the teacher asked, and there everyone's supposed to stand up when the teacher calls on them. So the teacher asked her to stand up and she didn't want to stand up because she knew she was on her period. They didn't have any pads or tampons there and she didn't want to show everyone that she was bleeding through her pants. So the teacher asked her to stand up. She said no. And then when she stood up, the teacher saw that she was bleeding, she was on her period, and the girls aren't supposed to go to school when they're on their period because it's very stigmatized there. It's thought to be very dirty, that they shouldn't even be around other people. They shouldn't cook, they shouldn't learn, they shouldn't do anything when they're on their period because it's not accepted there. So the teacher saw that she was on her period and took her outside and beat her to the point where she now has scars all over her arm. And she told us that's why so many girls drop out of school in Tanzania when they start getting their period, because they they're not supposed to go when they're on their period. If anyone finds out that they were at school and on their period, they'll get beaten like she did. So they end up missing a week out of every 4 weeks of school, and then they fall behind and they end up having to leave school. So I called my mom crying after Maggie told us this, and I had told Maggie that my mom was working on a solution to help more people have accessible solutions for menstruation. And we shared each other's stories and they talked, and that's when we really knew that Pure Rosie was something that could be so impactful, not only for people in America who want to be more cute and comfortable than they would be with another underwear or with pads or tampons, but that this would be really helpful for people all over the world who don't even have any other options.
Right. And I remember how much it impacted me hearing that story, and I was crying myself. And I promised Maggie that if we got Pure Rosie off the ground, we would start a Maggie Fund. And if you go to our website, you see pictures of the very school that you worked on with girls holding Pure Rosie. And we made sure that we gave them products to use while they were in school. And we've got beautiful feedback from them. Just
I'm sure there are still places in America too, probably not so much in terms of periods, but definitely just in terms of like feminine hygiene and just sexual health, where people um don't have the opportunity to talk about these things publicly.
yeah, I agree. So I think that, we're growing up in a different time, and I love that people can have this conversation, and there's outlets to talk about these conversations, and certainly outlets for people like who can join WISP and get, solutions right to their door discreetly if they feel uncomfortable or they're in a place where they can't really get support or access. So we're really happy to collaborate on this mother-daughter conversation about periods and all things feminine hygiene.